This one's wife. The Brainiest royals. Brains, intelligence, and royalty don't always go together. After all, it's the one position that there is no actual qualification for other than that by accident of birth. There's no entrance exam. You don't have to train for it. You're not provided with a list of qualifications that you need to have to ensure that you are either the monarch or a member of the royal family. Quite simply, if your dad was the king and you, the eldest son, then you were in. And so long as you survived in terms of avoiding dying in infancy and avoiding perhaps a distant relative deciding that he would like to seize the throne, you would become the king. It didn't matter if you were as thick as mince. It didn't matter if you were a greedy, self-absorbed arsehole. The fact is, you were the legitimate heir, so you became king. Similarly, your offspring were members of the royal family, and so were your brothers and cousins and so on and so forth. Well, Hello has taken it upon itself to answer the question, who are the brainiest royals of all time? Yes, of all time. That's quite a substantial remit, isn't it? Because we've got hundreds of years of royal history, not just in the United Kingdom, but across other nations also that have had and continue to have royal families. French royal family, Russian royal family, Swedish, Norwegian, Dutch, Belgian. Then you can go and look in Thailand, China, Japan, and so forth. So presumably those researchers at Hello have been undertaking a comprehensive year-long analysis of the qualifications of every single royal that has existed in history to find which are the brainiest. One suspects that isn't what has happened. What I can tell you is Prince Harry doesn't appear on the list, which won't come as a surprise to you, and neither does Prince Andrew, both a pair of dimwits. But let's have a look at who Hello has selected. Well, according to the list, at number 1 is Alfred the Great. They explain that no modern metrics can be applied to Alfred, but they suggest that he would have aced his A-levels. Well, it is Hello, although attending a private school with Latin on the curriculum would be a must for the Wessex king. Apparently, he navigated a tumultuous period which required a sharp mind and excellent diplomatic skills. And he also translated Latin texts into Old English. So Alfred heads up the list. Next comes Prince William. He left Eton College with 12 GCSEs and 3 A-levels, including an A in geography, B in art, and C in biology. Not bad, but not brilliant. And he attained a 2-1 in geography from St Andrews University. Pretty standard. Then, our next entrant is Princess Beatrice. She left her school with 9 GCSEs, including 2 A-stars, and went on to gain 3 A-levels, an A in drama and B's in history and film studies. One might suggest that only history is an A-level there that carries any weight. She then went on to Goldsmiths University to study history and history of ideas, and she also got a 2-1. Next comes up Princess Catharina Amalia, who is from the Netherlands, and she is placed at number 4 on the list. Number 5 is King Philippe of Spain. He's got 2 degrees to his name. Then Queen Elizabeth II is placed at number 6. Now, as you all know, we have a tremendous amount of respect for the service that was shown by the late Queen Elizabeth II, but I think even she would be the first to admit that she wasn't the brainiest of individuals, and therefore it's a rather strange inclusion to have her at number 6. At number 7 is Elizabeth I, who you'll recall was a daughter of Henry VIII. And then, looky here, who do we see at number 8? It's this one's wife. So, Of all the royals throughout history, across all the royal kingdoms that have ever existed, Hello decides that this one's wife should be in at number 8. Let's dive in and see why. While much of American-born This One's Wife's actual grading is a mystery, indeed it is, which is a story of itself, her double major in theatre and international relations at Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, suggests she has intelligence in spades. In order to get into university, her grades would have had to be up to par at school. Given her latest business ventures with her brand as ever and recent deal renewal with Netflix, it's no stretch to say that This One's Wife has a head for business too. Had she taken A-levels this side of the pond, I do feel it would have been a rather eclectic mix. So that is the rationalisation for the inclusion of This One's Wife in a list of brainy royals, and they position her at number 8. They fail, of course, to take into account that she regularly demonstrates that she's not particularly clever as a consequence of the repeated missteps and faux pas that she engages in, and you only have to listen to her to realise that she's not that bright, because she just regurgitates things that she's heard elsewhere without necessarily understanding the context. And again, somebody who doesn't know the difference between visceral and guttural, and you think that they're bright? Really? The fact is, she went to university, so they stick her on the list. But she shouldn't be on the list by any stretch of the imagination. Naturally, her inclusion would massage her ego and would be providing fuel to her. A quick run through the balance of the list that's been provided. Crown Princess Elizabeth of Belgium comes in at 9. Kate, Princess of Wales, comes in at 10. Catherine the Great at 11. Queen Margrethe at 12. She's from the Danish royal family. Princess Eugenie at 13. That's your top 13 as provided by Hello, which includes This One's Wife at number 8. Naturally, another puff piece which is designed to make This One's Wife seem like she's a clever individual who ranks among the brainiest royals. Now, I'm going to provide you with the top 10 that shits all over that list. They do get 2 individuals correct in what I would suggest is that appropriate top 10. However, the rest, no. I don't go into huge detail, otherwise this video would go on forever, so I'm just going to provide you with the top 10 with a relatively brief explanation as to why those individuals fit where they do. And I've confined it to English royalty in order to make the task somewhat easier for your glorious narrator. In at 10, Henry VII, 1485 to 1509. He demonstrated shrewd realpolitik, stabilising England post-Wars of the Roses through financial and dynastic cunning. He was extremely intelligent and shrewd, as per biographer Stanley Crimes. He amassed wealth via the court of Star Chamber, finding nobles without alienating them, and forged alliances like the 1486 York marriage. His espionage neutralised pretenders like Perkin Warbeck, while trade treaties boosted economy. He was described by Polydore Virgil as wise and prudent, inspiring confidence. He ensured Tudor longevity. At 9, Henry V, 1413 to 1422. Henry V's strategic brilliance in the 100 Years' War secured England's greatest continental gains, blending military genius with diplomacy. At Agincourt, 1415, his innovative longbow tactics routed a superior French force, reclaiming Normandy by 1419 via sieges and alliances. Contemporaries praised his brave, loyal command and justice. The Treaty of Troyes, 1420, made him heir to France through calculated pressure on Charles VI. His intelligence network thwarted plots, cementing his model king status. Number 8, Edward VI, 1547 to 1553. You might think that this is a strange choice for someone who didn't live particularly long. However, have a listen to this. He was fluent in multiple languages by adolescence, and that highlighted his intellectual promise, which unfortunately for him was cut short by illness. Tutors like Jean Czech deemed him intellectually gifted, mastering Greek, Latin, French, and theology. He debated theology at 12 and journaled diplomatic affairs insightfully. His essays on royal supremacy and currency reform show grasp of policy, while studying geometry and music evidence versatility. Well, I think that shits all over somebody and her flower sprinkles, doesn't it? And he's just at number 8. Number 7. Charles II, 1660 to 1685. His scientific curiosity propelled England's Enlightenment, founding institutions that advanced empirical knowledge. Fascinated by chemistry and astronomy, he maintained a private laboratory for dissections and experiments, personally observing via telescopes at Gresham College. He chartered the Royal Society in 1662, patronising Newton and Boyle, and established Greenwich Observatory 1675 for navigation, which became key to Britain's naval dominance. His alchemical pursuits and clock obsession reflected broad intellect, as French traveller Sorbier noted his astonishing knowledge. James I, he of the oversized tongue, 1603 to 1625. His scholarly output and patronage of learning mark him as a cerebral ruler who unified crowns intellectually. Tutored by George Buchanan, he authored treatises like Boscawen Doron, 1599, on kingship, and Demonology, 1597, on witchcraft, while commissioning the King James Bible in 1611, a landmark of 47 scholars' work that endures for its literary precision. Fluent in Latin, Greek, and French, he promoted poetry and drama, fostering Shakespeare's era, and his ecumenical policies maintained peace and religious strife. Contemporaries called him the wisest fool, but his Through Law of Free Monarchies showcased astute absolutist theory. Number 5. Henry VIII, 1509 to 1547. Henry VIII's scholarly prowess as the first English king with the full humanist education placed him high. He was fluent in English, French, and Latin. He owned a vast library, annotated text, and authored Assertio Septem Sacramentorium in 1521, earning Papal Defender of the Faith. Tutors like John Skelton honed his theology and classics. He composed music and supported Renaissance arts, commissioning Holbein portraits. His shrewd dissolution of monasteries funded reforms, blended intellect with policy, as Erasmus lauded his early intelligence from age 8. Number 4. Henry I, 1100 to 1135. He was known as the fine scholar. His intellect shone in administrative innovation, making him the most literate Norman king and a bridge to bureaucratic governance. Educated in Latin and liberal arts, he was the first Norman fluent in English, authoring laws like the Coronation Charter that curbed abuses and advanced justice. His exchequer system revolutionized finance, enabling systematic audits via pipe rolls, while royal justices toured shires for efficient rule. He was praised by contemporaries as skillful and intelligent. He had personal magnetism and decisiveness, as per biographer Stanley Crimes, and unified England and Normandy post-conquest. Number 3. Did have this one identified, Alfred the Great. He earns 3rd place for pioneering England's intellectual revival amid Viking invasions, personally advancing literacy and scholarship in an illiterate age. He established a court school for nobles and commoners studying English and Latin texts himself, and recruited continental scholars to translate key works like Gregory the Great's Pastoral Care and Boethius's Consolation of Philosophy, efforts he undertook directly, as confirmed by his prefaces. Biographer Asser described him as learned and merciful, crediting his reforms, like mandating freemen to learn to read, for boosting literacy, and attributing Viking raids to educational decline, a view that spurred his Alfredian programme of translations. His strategic Burr system and Anglo-Saxon chronicle further demonstrated tactical foresight, earning his great epithet by the 13th century. Number 2. Henry II, 1154 to 1189. Henry II's ranking stems from his transformative legal mind and polymath education, which laid foundations for English common law and centralised governance. Educated from age 7 by grammarian Peter of Saintes, he spoke French, Latin, and possibly Occitan fluently, surrounding himself with Europe's finest scholars like Peter Abelard for advanced tutorials in theology and philosophy. Historian Frederick Maitland called him peerless in law, crediting his fierce intellectual reforms, like the Assize of Clarendon in 1166, with standardising trials and curbing feudal abuses through innovative itinerant justices. His Administrative efficiency, blending Norman and Angevin systems, reflected true geopolitical intelligence, as noted by contemporaries like John of Salisbury, who admired his outstanding ability despite personal flaws. Who's number one, then? Well, it won't be a surprise to learn it's not Prince Harry. QE2 doesn't appear there. KC3 doesn't. It's Elizabeth I. Someone, at least hello, got that right. She stands as the cleverest English royal due to her unparalleled intellectual breadth and strategic acumen, which sustained England's stability in religious and foreign threats. She received an elite humanist education rivaling that of male nobles, becoming fluent in 6 languages: Latin, Greek, French, Italian, Spanish, and possibly others like Welsh and Cornish by her early adulthood. That was a rarity for women of her era. Her tutor, Roger Ascham, praised her perfide readiness in these tongues, noting she could debate theology and classics with scholars. During her 1566 Oxford visit, she publicly tested professors in Latin disputation, showcasing her command of rhetoric and logic. Strategically, she orchestrated long-term naval reforms, recognizing the need for a blue water fleet that defeated the Spanish Armada in 1588, a plan rooted in her multilingual diplomatic correspondence and economic foresight. Her translation of classical works like Boethius into French further evidenced her scholarly depth, blending intellect with pragmatic rule. So, a brief pen portrait for each of those monarchs from the English royals, with Elizabeth I coming out on top. And I think you'll agree with me that she shits all over this one's wife and her supposed double major and her flower sprinkles, that the supposed business head that she has doesn't exist as a consequence of her Potemkin business. And the reason that I provided you with that top 10 was to throw into sharp relief the ridiculousness of much of the list that was generated by Hello, particularly including someone like this one's wife, who wouldn't even measure up to the shoe leather of the intellectual giants that I've described amongst the royalty in that top 10 that I created. And the point of all of this is to demonstrate how, once again, this one's wife is a nobody compared to these individuals. And yet, her narcissism causes her to believe that she is somebody, and organs such as Hello, unfortunately, perpetuate that. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.